Hello, welcome to New Vision TV News. My name is Becky Cynthia Nachmara and we are broadcasting from the New Vision newsroom. In our bulletin, we will have news from around Uganda, in business, East Africa, and we will end our bulletin with a special report and the Pearl of Africa. Starting from around Uganda, the Court of Appeal today upheld a lower court's acquittal of the widow of the slain businessman Eria Sebunya-Bugembe, alias KASIWUKIRA Sarah Nabikolo, who was accused of killing her husband. A panel of 3 judges led by Elizabeth Musoke cleared Nabikolo of crime on grounds that prosecution witnesses never disclosed the name of the person who murdered KASIWUKIRA. KASIWUKIRA was on October 17, 2014, knocked dead by a speeding motor vehicle at about 6 a.m. when he was jogging near his home in Muyenga Diplomatic Zone. Nabikolo was first brought to trial in 2015 on charges of murder of her husband, together with her cousin Sandra Nakungu and Ashraf Jardin, a police officer formerly attached to Muyenga Police Post. In 2016, High Court Judge Wilson Musalu Musene acquitted Nabikolo of murder charges, saying the prosecution did not adduce enough evidence pinning her. However, court jailed Nakungu and Jardin of their role in KASIWUKIRA's murder. News coming from Kasese, the Archbishop of Seventh-day Adventist SDA Church in Uganda has warned political leaders in the RWENZORI sub-region against trading in political of intriguing and lies. Pastor Dr. Daniel Mate was on Sunday preaching at the burial of the first bishop of the SDA RWENZORI field, Yowasi Mokirania. Mokirania, 88, died on Friday at Ishaka Adventist Hospital. The requiem service that attracted hundreds of mourners from within and outside Kasese took place at Chanya SDA Primary School grounds in Ibanda, Chanya Town Council, Bugoye Sub-County, Busongora, Kasese District. Without naming any politician, Dr. Pastor Mate noted that some of the politicians in the area were using their positions to trade in division, lies and disorder. He lauded the government of Uganda for restoring peace in the entire country, but urged the residents to collectively and individually contribute towards its sustainability. A news coming from Chenjejo, tea farmers in Toro region are counting losses following a drop of green tea leaves prices by at least 350 shillings per kilogram. Many farmers in the tea growing districts of Chenjejo and Kabarole are abandoning the tea plantations because of the fall of prices. William Kwezira, a tea farmer in Chijura Town Council, Burihaya County, says they used to sell a kilogram of tea between 500 and 650 shillings, but it has now been reduced to 280 shillings. He attributes the drop in tea prices to poor quality and that many farmers mishandle the green tea leaves during harvest. Tinka Biamukama, another farmer in Mbale Chenjejo district, says he recently planted 6 areas of tea anticipating a lot of money, but he has been disappointed with the prices. Monica Tusima, a tea farmer in Mbale, says that many farmers have started abandoning tea growing for banana plantations. And from Iganga, a boda cyclist who has been operating at a CMS trading center, Blamaji sub-county in Iganga district, has been brutally killed by unknown thugs who took off with his motorcycle. Stephen Dobe, 40 years, a resident of Ntinda village, was killed by thugs who hired him on Sunday night at 9 p.m. His body was discovered today at Walugogo wetland near a Chinese power point. According to Paul Mokisa, the owner of the bike, when Dobe never returned home in the evening, his wife tried to call him, but his phone was not picked. She reported the matter to police and a search was conducted. The deceased's body was found near a sugarcane plantation, lying in a pool of blood. Residents have asked the government to install CCTV cameras not only in Kampala, but in also rural areas. News coming in from Katakwi, a total of 2,963 gardens of different crops have been destroyed by storm accompanied with wind in Katakwi sub-county, Katakwi district. This is according to Samuel Odukatum, the sub-county agriculture officer who visited the affected farms on Monday. He said the storm destroyed crops from Apolin, Aparisa and Aloguk parishes. Odakatum explained that crops such as cassava, sorghum, beans and potato gardens, among others, have been put down by the storm. He notes that the storm has exposed 155 households to the risk of hunger. Meanwhile, Walter Elakas, the Katakwi LC5 chairperson, said the district will use data of the affected households to lobby from the office of the Prime Minister. He adds that farmers should ensure that they buy seeds and plant the crops in consultation with the extension workers as they wait for a report from government. Still around Uganda, from Otuke district, the National Environment Management Authority NEMA has launched the restoration of Olidura Central Forest Reserve in Ogotwe sub-county, Otuke district, after it was depleted mainly of its shina trees. The shina trees from the Central Forest Reserve was cut and burnt for charcoal, which is greatly demanded and sold in Lira, Kampala, Mbale and across the border in Kenya. The shea seedlings are being grazed in Ngeta Zonal Agricultural Research Institute in Lira and taken to the Forest Reserve to be planted together with participation of members of the local community. Francis Ogwal, NEMA's Natural Resources Manager in charge of biodiversity and rangeland, said there has been a big challenge in the rangelands ecosystem in the country, with very important tree species being cut to make charcoal. He said in northern, eastern and part of West Nile, the species that have come under threat to charcoal production is the shea nut trees. And in sports, after the She Cranes defeated Scotland and proceeded to the next stage of the best 12 teams in the ongoing Netball World Cup games, all eyes are on the next victim of the girls. They started their preliminary stage with a fixture against Trinidad and Tobago today evening, and they will have to finish among the top two in Group G to qualify for the semi-finals. The games are taking part in Liverpool, United Kingdom. And moving on to news from around East Africa. And from Kenya, a war of words has erupted in political circles regarding the question of whether the country has enough maize, even as experts warn it is not logistically possible for the planned imports from Mexico to arrive before the next harvest unless the consignment is already on its way or hanging somewhere on the high seas. The Ministry of Agriculture is divided down the middle, with Cabinet Secretary Mwanje Kinjuri deferring publicly with Strategic Food Reserve Trust Fund Chairman Noah Wekesa over the deficit and the planned importation of maize. Kenyan government wants 19 million bags of maize imported to meet its deficit, or the price of its 2-kilogram packet of maize would hit shillings 150 from the current 120 shillings. And from Tanzania, government is seeking a partnership with Zhengzhou University of Aeronautics of China to start an aircraft maintenance course in the country. The move is in response to emerging human resource needs in the aviation industry in Tanzania and following the revival of Air Tanzania last year. According to Professor Zakaria Nganirwa, an official of the National Institute of Transport, the Chinese university will assist in training engineers in aviation industry to address the current shortage. And from South Sudan, news circulating in the Juba has it that the leader of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, army in opposition, Dr. Riek Machar, is under house arrest in Khartoum, Sudan. The South Sudan news agency quotes a senior army in opposition official seeking on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the matter, saying, open quotes, "Our leader Machar is technically under house arrest in Khartoum. But if you ask IGAD leaders, some of them will say he's free to go anywhere or country he wants. It is, however, clear to us that now Dr. Machar is not allowed to travel to any country of his choice," close quotes. The revelation, according to the source, comes as government and armed opposition continue to disagree over key provisions of the September 2018 revitalized peace implementation. It is not clear who is holding Machar and for what reasons. Machar had close relations with deposed Sudan President Omar al-Bashir. And from around the world, we begin with DR Congo. The first case of Ebola has been confirmed in Goma, the largest city to be affected by the disease since its outbreak in eastern DR Congo last August, the health ministry has confirmed. The patient is a pastor who had been preaching in church and could have touched the hands of worshippers, including the sick, the ministry said in a statement. His symptoms first appeared last Tuesday in Butembo, where he was preaching. Butembo has reported several cases of Ebola since the virus outbreak last year. The pastor traveled on a bus which had other 18 passengers who have all plus the driver been vaccinated. Authorities have urged people to keep calm. Since August, Ebola has so far killed 1,655 people, according to a health ministry bulletin on Saturday. Nearly 700 were cured, and a total of 160,239 people have been vaccinated against the highly contagious hemorrhagic fever. And news from Sudan: days after a blackout on mobile internet services ended, Sudanese are shocked by the content of online videos and photographs that appear to document last month's deadly raid on demonstrators. Crowds of protesters were violently dispersed and dozens killed by men in military fatigues during a pre-dawn raid on weeks-long sit outside army headquarters in Khartoum on June 3rd. Still around the world, from France, a total of 282 people were arrested in France after unrest following the Algerian football team's qualification for the final of Africa Cup of Nations, the Interior Ministry said on Monday. Riotous celebrations erupted across the country after Algeria beat Nigeria 2-1 in the semi-final. The arrests were made nationwide yesterday. Out of those arrested, 249 people were placed in custody. When Nigeria defeated Ivory Coast to reach the semi-finals on Thursday, fans went on the rampage in central Paris, looting shops. And news from Australia: human bones found on the Australian coast last month are believed to be those of a French backpacker who went missing near a surf beach in February, police said on Monday. Ewan Ferrick's 21 and 20-year-old Hugo Palmer from England were last seen at picturesque Shirley Beach, some 400 kilometers, 250 miles north of Sydney. Police said 3 bones were found by fishermen in nearby waters in mid-June, close to where their rental car had been abandoned 4 months earlier. Forensic testing revealed that bones belonged to the same person. And ending our news from around the world, from Turkey. Turkey on Monday marked the anniversary of a bloody attempt to withdraw President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in 2016, an event whose impact is still felt today. Nearly 250 people were killed, excluding coup plotters, and over 2,000 others were injured after a rogue military faction tried to wrest power from the president, but thousands took to the streets in response to Erdogan's call to defeat the uprising. The third anniversary comes at a difficult moment for Erdogan, faced with a weakened economy, worsening relations with NATO, only at the United States, and a defeat for his party in the recent Istanbul mayoral election to a more unified opposition. Let's go for a short commercial break, but when we return, we will give you our news from In Business.